After watching 2 episodes of Let This Grieving Soul Retire, the one word that comes to my mind is easily thighs. Yes, just the word thighs. That's all that comes to mind is the word thighs. A series about a guy who used to be in a really OP party and he's just faking it to make it, all the while yelling Mendokusai, wanting to puke because he doesn't want to be bothered by anything. Like the title leads you to believe, Let This Grieving Soul Retire. But I honestly feel like this series is a lot better than I expected it. Going based on the synopsis and the PVs, I was really figuring like this is going to be one of those series that either it works or it's just going to be extremely boring. Because it's one of those series about the guy who fakes it until he makes it. But not necessarily. He's not trying to fake it. He just has all these expectations placed upon him by the fact that he used to be a part of this group that's really, really powerful. But it's my thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Let This Grieving Soul Retire and Accept the Thighs. Let's jump into it. The story for this series pretty much begins 6 years ago, where we have Cry is with his friends, and they all have decided to become adventurers, to actually become treasure hunters. Treasure hunters are people that go down in these ruins, and they hunt down these monsters, eventually getting to the middle where they have the actual relics that they actually collect. And his party is incredibly good. Like, they're very skilled, they're wiping out all these beginner dungeons, and just basically the world is ahead of them. But unfortunately, Cry realizes very quickly they're all really powerful, but I'm useless. I'm actually a burden. I have no skills. I'm not talented in any way. So for the betterment of the party and his friends, he decides that he's going to quit. Well, as he's quitting, they end up bringing up, well, we need a leader. You be the leader. And so they decide to pretty much assign him to be their party leader. And what this turns into is over the next 6 years, their group becomes a clan, which becomes one of the biggest groups ever. Jumping forward, we meet Cry, and he is going to one of these recruitment things. See, these clans every now and then will recruit people for individual parties within the clan, and he is late. And as he's kind of sneaking in with the crowd, and he's getting kind of confronted by some of the party members that are trying to join the clan, he eventually gets spotted by this one girl, Tino, who is actually the apprentice of one of his former party members, and she quickly outs him to the crowd. Yes, everybody freaks out. This is Cry, the guy that's the leader of this entire clan. He's extremely powerful. Don't look down upon him, all this kind of stuff. Well, in front of this crowd, one of the leaders of one of the party members who is a part of this clan ends up asking Cry to pick out somebody for them to recruit for their very elite group. To which point Cry realizes that he has no talent of picking anybody, so he just leaves it to random chance and flicks a relic into the crowd, and Tino goes nuts because she can't let anybody else have this relic because it's a ring, and she beats up everybody in the area as he's walking out. Jump forward, he gets in trouble for causing this big commotion because it destroyed this pub. So he goes to apologize to the Explorer Association. The Explorer Association is basically like a guild that hands out different tasks to adventurers. And nobody likes them because they're tasks that pay very little and they're just like chores. Well, Cry ends up picking like a random one, ends up handing it over to Tino. Come to find out it's actually a very difficult mission, and he freaks out thinking that he sent Tino to her death. He gathers all of his relics and rushes out to go save her. And that's basically the gist of the story so far. It's a lot about Cry, the fact that he has no talent himself. He's been stuck leading this massive clan. Everybody has high expectations for him and thinks he's very incredible, but the entire time in his own head, he's going, crap, I really don't want to be bothered by this. This is too much effort. I'm not as good as people think I am. That's really the gist here. And I think that's the thing that I was very mixed on when I looked at the PVs and the synopsis and whatnot for this series. These type of characters who are the fake it to make it type of characters sometimes really don't work for me. But I think so far Cry is working for me because he doesn't seem like he's unlikable. He's just a guy that's kind of going, okay, yeah, this is the situation. Let me figure this out this way. The thing that does sort of give him a little credit here, but it's, again, nothing by his own achievements, is that, yes, this clan has made a ton of money. And amidst all of that, Cry is a relic fanatic. This is a guy that loves different items that have magical imbuement into them, and having a lot of money, he has a massive collection of them. And so what I figured this is going to go in the direction of is everybody thinking he's OP just like his party members because he knows how to use relics. He's very knowledgeable about relics, and he has very powerful relics. Yes, he is a high level, but I think that was assigned to him based on his party, and yes, his exploits using the relics. So in the end, he's going to be talented, just not his own talents, it's the relics. But yes, like I said earlier, Cry would not be enough for me. Unfortunately, Cry would not be enough for me to actually enjoy this show. What actually makes me enjoy this show is Tino. Yes, like I mentioned earlier, the thighs. Tino is a lot of fun. While I will admit that she can be a little bit too much for some people, she's sort of the very cutesy, very naive, but extremely physically powerful. Yes, like I said earlier, she was an apprentice to Liz, one of the former party members, so she can kick absolute butt, and she's extremely vicious. She's sort of the yandere character. She's basically the yandere character. She doesn't want anybody else near Cry. If anybody disrespects Cry, she wants to beat the living crap out of them, and she will. Like, they keep having this guy show up named Gilbert, and Gilbert is a hothead. He's the boy that thinks that he's better than anybody else, and anybody in his way, he challenges. So yes, sure enough, in the early segments, you have this whole ring being thrown to join the actual clan. He pretty much instinctively grabs it, and Tino just comes in and drop kicks him. Jump forward later on, he's basically saying that Cry isn't the leader of this clan. He'll never accept him. He's not powerful. He's a fake. And sure enough, Tino challenges him to a duel and beats the living crap out of him again. She's just dorky. She's got a silly nature to herself. She's got that cuteness in there as well. She just is thirsting bad for Cry, and that's sort of an annoying thing. And the idea that's like, why is this guy not touch this girl? Why is he so afraid of her or getting anywhere near her when this girl is just all for him? All I could think of is that if he decides to bed her, she would dominate him so fast, and it would pretty much shatter her illusion. I'm guessing that's probably what it is. Unless he just claims that he's going to let her win. I think it would shatter her expectations if she just completely dominates him. She's great though, because she keeps kind of throwing out different things to try to impress Cry, but he just doesn't seem to accept it. Like, there's this whole bit just before the duel that she's sitting here stretching. She's like, look at what Liz showed me, how I can stretch in any position. Isn't that great? And he's like, that's great. I don't know what that means. It's like, dude, are you Are you missing it that much? It's like, I don't think Tino knows what she's saying, but at the same time, Cry doesn't seem to understand what she's saying. The fact that she can bend to any position. It's things like that that really does settle me for her. She's just got that really fun nature. Now, there is a scary side to that story-wise, in that Tino is so obsessed with Cry that she'll accept anything he says as being pretty much all according to his plan. And that's really what they're kind of getting into at the end of the second episode, is the fact that he sent this entire party to go on this mission, and they accepted it thinking that he knows what he's talking about. Like, oh yeah, you guys are fine with this. Go to this wolf's den and retrieve this party. We'll come to find out later on that wolf's den, they're planning on upping the level. So he sent them with the idea that it was a weaker dungeon than it actually was. The phantoms in it are getting stronger. And additionally, the party that they're supposed to save is a higher level than the party that he's sending. So it's like, yeah, there's all these signs on this mission that he completely missed because he was being so nonchalant about it. So there is a thing there where, yes, everybody has high expectations for him. And the problem that comes from that is if he's nonchalant about anything, he's basically putting lives at risk. That's essentially what he's done here. He wasn't paying attention enough. He has the power to move people, and he's not realizing that he's just sending people to their deaths. Like, even Tino herself's like, yeah, I seen the mission. I know what he said here. He wanted me to do this. I trust him that he knows what he's doing, but I had you all right our wheels because, yes, this is a very deathly thing here. And it's like, dude, really? Cry. What the hell? You sent thighs to her death. You sent thighs to her death. What the hell? I think there is a nice mixture of the comedy and the subtle messages that are kind of mixed in here. I don't think they're going to get too deep and too heavy with the subjects here, but it does kind of make you question, is he going to start being a little more cautious about what he's doing based on this whole situation? I will admit that I'm kind of surprised that we're already 2 episodes in and we haven't had any of the former party members show up. I'm assuming that over time, as we go through the episodes, we're probably going to have them popping up here and there, showing how insanely OP they are and how much they have like high expectations for Cry. I do think that there is an element here of them sort of feeding into Cry because he's their friend. I think they're probably going to have at some point, hopefully within this core, where they address with Cry the fact that they know that he's not physically powerful, but they're friends. I think that's the thing that he kind of missed with the former party, is that they were partying together and he's off to the side going, crap, I'm a dead weight here. There might be some sort of power that he had or knowledge that he had that maybe he wasn't realizing he was providing for them. But in the end, I think it's going to be a thing that they were all friends to begin with. They went together to the dungeons. What does it matter if he was weak? They were friends. They were together. They were a party. Yes, he was putting them in danger by the fact that he was missing cues and they had to save his butt. But still, I think that's the element there. Even when it came to the point where they had to name the party, and he's like, well, I'll name it something super chuny and edgy. grieving souls. And they're like, that sounds dumb. I want something cuter. And he's like, well, I guess I'm failing at this stuff. I'm going to have to leave. And they're like, no, it's a great name. We're going to go with that name. That's why he's stuck with the name, is that it's his own fault. But I think at some point they have to have that realization. And I think that's why it's kind of nice that they made him the leader of the group, which made him the leader of the clan, is that's really an aspect of, you're our friend. That's why we want you to be a part of our group. And so it is kind of sad there to think that he's basically pushed them away. So far, the animation's decent. Like, it's not like anything that I'm like surprised about or shocked by. They make the character designs work. And yes, like I said, I think most of the effort's probably put into Tino's thighs. I think most of the effort they put in the series is probably into her. The action scenes are decent. They're not great, but it's enough. Except for the CGI chain dog. I don't know why they decided to make such a close-up of the CGI chain dog, even though it tied up Tino and completely ruined her. He sends this chain dog to stop Tino because she doesn't want to have anything to do with this Explorer Association quest. And it chases her down, ties her up, and she's like, oh, I've been ruined by this thing. And it basically do the whole, I could never get married kind of concept there. But she's all tied up and she's got this piece of paper on her face. She kept blown away. Have I mentioned that Tino's great? But yeah, in the end, it's working. It's solid. It looks decent. I really love Tino's character. The comedy's pretty on point. It's not hilarious overall, but it's doing kind of a mixture between, yes, Cry, again, faking it and trying to get through situations, being bothered by situations and having high expectations upon him and kind of just fumbling through it. A lot of the comedy really is around Tino and how like obsessive she is with him and going a little over the top about it. And yes, their chemistry back and forth, I think, is a lot of it, where she's obsessed with him and he's kind of just, just kind of brushing off whatever she kind of says about him. That's really kind of where it's working, and hopefully it works for the rest of the series. Again, I'm pleasantly surprised by it. It's working out a lot better than I thought it would, but that's my thoughts on this Grieving Soul Retire. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment. Let me know what you think of the series if you're going to be checking it out. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe before you leave. I'm doing first impressions of all the shows of the season. If you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it if it does. Until next time, y'all take care.